and cards. But today, we'll explore and solve complex probability questions using all 4 of these. So let's get started with our first question. Suppose I flip a 2-sided coin first, and then randomly pull out a card from a shuffled deck of 52 cards. What is the probability of landing on heads and picking a jack? Here we have a coin. This is the heads, and this is the tails, which I've enlarged to make it easier to see. And here is our shuffled deck of 52 cards. You can see it is shuffled throughout. As this question is asking for the chances of landing on heads while flipping our 2-sided coin and the probability of picking a jack from the shuffled deck of cards, let's start by finding the probability or chance of landing on heads when we flip our coin. As you can see, there are 2 sides to the coin, the heads and the tails. So there are 2 possible outcomes. But we want to find the chances of landing on the heads, which means there's 1 favorable outcome. So we know that the individual probability of landing on heads while flipping our 2-sided coin would be 1/2. Now that we've found this, let's turn to our cards. Remember, we have to find the chances of picking a jack out of this deck of 52 cards. There's a total of 52 cards, and in this deck, we can see that there are 4 jacks. So the probability of picking one of these 4 jacks is 4 out of 52, which we can also simplify down to 1/13. As we have now found the 2 individual probabilities, we can multiply them, as this question is asking for the total probability of flipping a coin to get heads and picking a jack out of our deck of cards. By multiplying 1/2 and 1/13, we can see that the probability is 1/26. Now, let's look at another example. What is the probability of landing on tails and picking a 2 of spades or a 3 of diamond? Now let's start by finding the probability of landing on tails. There's 2 sides of the coins that I could land on, but we want to land on the tails. So again, the probability would be 1/2. Now let's move on to the cards. In our shuffled deck of cards, let's start by finding the chances of picking a 2 of spades. As you can see, there's 1 2 of spades out of a total of 52 cards. So we know that the probability or chances of picking this card is 1/52. Now suppose we didn't pick the 2 of spades, and instead, we went through our deck and picked the 3 of diamond. Well, what's the probability of picking this card? Again, it would be 1/52, as there's 1 3 of diamond out of a total of 52 cards. So we know that the probability of picking the 2 of spades alone is 1/52, and the probability of picking 3 of diamonds alone is also 1/52. Now, if we go back to the question, we can see that it's asking the chances of picking a 2 of spades or a 3 of diamonds. In other words, we could pick either this card or this card. So, we can add these 2 probabilities to find the total probability of picking either one of these cards, as we could pick a 2 of spades or we could pick a 3 of diamond. So we can add 1/52 plus 1/52 to get a total of 2/52. 2 over 52 are the chances of picking a card, whether it being 2 of spades or 3 of diamonds. And 1/2 are the chances of flipping a coin and it landing on tails. To find the total probability, we can multiply 1/2 times 2 over 52 to get 2 divided by 104, which we can simplify down to 1 over 52. Now that we've solved questions involving coins and cards, let's solve more questions, but this time using dice and spinners. First, I roll a die and then I spin a colored spinner. Here we have our dice. This 6-sided dice has 6 numbers on it, ranging from 1 to 6. And here we have our colored spinner. As you can see, it is divided into 4 equal parts that are colored red, green, yellow, and blue. Let's turn to our first question. What is the probability of rolling the dice to an even number and landing on green? Turning back to our dice, we can see that in order to land on an even number, we would have to roll a 2, 4, or a 6. In other words, there are 3 different even numbers out of a total of 6 outcomes that we could roll. So we know that the chances of rolling an even number on our 6-sided dice is 3 over 6, which we can also simplify down to 1/2. Now, let's turn and find the probability of landing on green with our spinner. As you can see, there's a total of 4 colored sections and there's 1 green section. So we know that the probability of landing on this green section is 1/4. Since we found the probability of rolling the dice to an even number and the probability of landing on green while spinning our spinner, we can multiply these 2 individual probabilities. So we can multiply 1/2 times 1/4 to get a total of 1 over 8, which is our probability for this question. Finally, let's look at a last question involving complex probability. What is the probability of landing on red or yellow on the first spin and rolling a 6 on the dice? Let's start with our spinner. Suppose we spin our spinner and it lands on red. What's the probability of it landing on red? There's 1 red section out of a total of 4 sections. So we know that the probability would be 1/4. Now suppose we spin our spinner again, and this time we land on the yellow section. What's the probability? Again, there's 1 yellow section out of a total of 4. So the probability would also be 1/4. Now, turning back to our question, we can see that it says to find the probability of landing on either this red section or the yellow section. Since we can land on either one of these sections, to find the probability, we can add 1/4 plus 1/4. This gives us a total of 2 over 4, which we can simplify to 1/2. 1/2 is the probability or chances of landing on either red or yellow when spinning our spinner. Now, let's turn to finding the probability of rolling a 6 on the dice. As we have 6 different numbers that we could roll, and there's only 1 6 that we want, we know that the probability of rolling a 6 on our dice is 1 over 6. as there is only 1 6 on the dice and there's a total of 6 numbers that we could roll. Now that we found a probability of landing on red or yellow on our spinner, and the probability of rolling a 6 on our dice, we can multiply these two to get the total probability. We can multiply 1/2 times 1/6 to get a total of 1/12, which is the answer to our question.